What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And today we are finally talking about the newest entry into the Scream franchise, and that is Scream 6. Now, before we get into the meat of this review, I'm gonna have a Scream ranking out tomorrow, ranking all the Scream films from my favorite to my least favorite. That's going to be fun. Even though the film is still out, we are still going to be talking about Scream for the next couple days, so if you're looking forward to that and any other content that I would have in the future, please stay tuned, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. But now, let's get into the spoiler-free Scream 6 review. So Scream 6 picks up pretty much right where Scream 5 left off. We still have the same cast of characters. Tara is in college, Sam has an apartment nearby. This film takes place in New York, which of course is one of the biggest things we saw in the marketing, so that means Ghostface is going to be kind of out in public chasing people this time. There were a couple things that I was really looking forward going into this film. I mean, it's definitely hard to keep your expectations, modest when you have a franchise this big and with such a high bar. But I wanted to go in with as open of a mind as possible. So this video might be the first one to get me some hate, but I found this movie overall to be a little bit disappointing. I do not think it is anywhere near a bad film. It is definitely not my least favorite of this franchise. We will get to that very soon, tomorrow. But overall, for my personal experience, this film did not live up to what I was hoping it would. Don't get me wrong, there are some really good things about this film, so I want to talk about those first, because I do think this film does a lot of things legitimately really well. And the first one is just the portrayal of Ghostface overall. I mean, Ghostface is brutal in this film. The kills are also really brutal, and there were some moments that had me wincing that were difficult for me to look at. And with the amount of stuff that I've seen, the amount of horror movies I've watched, the amount of slashers I've watched, that does not happen very often. And it looked like a really nice mix of practical with just a little bit of CG effects to enhance everything. And that is my favorite type of gore to see in slasher films. So I was really happy with that. They tried a few new, different and unique kills, which I really liked. And yeah, just overall, the gore and kills in this film were really solid. Second, I think this film did a really good job at building tension, building those jump scare sequences, especially the one that we've all seen in the trailer that happens in the kind of like mini mart store. Really effective and tense sequence, and that really stays true throughout the whole film. Whenever we have a Ghostface encounter, they do a really good job at building suspense and tension, and as a horror fan, that's something I'm looking for. There's also a scene that I won't go into detail because it's a little farther into the movie, but it involves Gale and Ghostface having an encounter over the phone, and to me, that was by far the best part of the film. It was so engaging and very tense, as I mentioned before, which leads to this entire sequence, which in my opinion was the standout sequence of the film. You'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, that was just another thing that I thought I should mention because it was so real, so well done, and really called back to what I would want from a Scream film. Yeah, you have Kirby in here back from Scream 4. It was really nice to see her again. I thought her character was awesome in this film, and no complaints. I'm really glad she showed up in this film. And also, for any of you metal fans out there is an Ice Nine Kills Easter egg in this film somewhere, and when I spotted it, I lost my mind, just as a fan of that band. So I'm really glad they put that in there. And one more thing I really want to say that I liked about this film is all the performances across the board. All the actors in this did such a great job with what they were given. In particular, Jenna Ortega as Tara and Melissa Barrera as Sam. I thought these two playing sisters was so great to see. Their chemistry was insane with each other. I totally bought all the drama and that side of the story that they were going for, and I really like that this film delves a little bit deeper into Sam's kind of, psyche and subconscious, because if you haven't seen the 5th film, spoilers, she is Billy Loomis's daughter, so she kind of has this instinctual and natural connection to being associated with a killer, and I really like that they spend a lot of time focusing on that, as well as the repercussions of what happened in Scream 5. I mean, you have Sam, who is kind of the overprotective sister, and you have Tara, who is trying to live a normal life now that she's in college, but her sister is very overbearing and overprotecting, so you can understand both of those sides to the story, but you can't really make up your mind on who's right, because they both have good points. And I like when a film like that really makes you think and has that connection between characters. So that is what I think Scream 6 did so well. But yeah, unfortunately, it's time to get into the more negative side of this film, and there are a couple things that really disappointed me pretty hard. I'll just get into the big ones. I'll start off by saying I don't feel like, even though this is the same cast of characters we got from Scream 5, their relationships and the way that they are trying to make you feel for these characters just does not translate for me. I mean, they don't feel like as strong of a group as normal, and that's something that disappointed me, because I really thought these characters were great in the previous film, but something happened here that was, again, lost in translation, where I just did not find any of these characters to be interesting, and I didn't really care about any of them. I mean, I understand it's Scream, and it's going for the kind of self-awareness and cheesiness to a degree, but it's just some of the lines that come out of these characters' mouths too are just not as smartly written as they have been in every other previous film up to this point. And speaking of self-awareness and cheesiness, you come to Scream for the whole meta storyline, and that is in here, but it is kind of explained in just a one-off scene that feels like it has no attachment to the rest of the film. It's kind of an obligatory thing that they have to throw in there, and they don't really focus on that theme of the film as a whole. I mean, you get all the other Scream films that go for this meta storytelling and this self-awareness and making fun of these slasher tropes, and at least in my experience watching this, I didn't get any of that. I felt this movie took itself way too seriously and should have been a little bit more self-aware. I found certain moments funny, probably not for the reasons that they wanted me to, it just, in terms of meta storytelling, this one is the closest we've come to a straight slasher from Scream, and that's not really what I go to Scream for. And the last one, Gale Weathers and some of the legacy characters just really don't have a place in this film. I mean, it feels like they're all there as an afterthought, and they don't know what to do with these characters. They just have to bring them in so that the fans can say, oh, look, there's Gale Weathers. They don't add anything to the story. I mean, they kind of rehash what Gale did from the original Scream in '96, where she wrote a book about the previous events, which in turn affects somebody else's life, and they don't like that they're getting this publicity. I mean, they even redid the punch scene again, and as much as I like that for fan service, it just does not work for me as a whole. I would like to see something different, a little bit more unique and a little bit more creative. But again, that's just me personally. And now the biggest negative of this film is that stakes do not exist in the Scream franchise anymore. I mean, everything that they do in this film is played so ridiculously safe. There are zero risks taken. There is nothing even it's like there's not any rough edges because there aren't supposed to be, if that makes any sense. Everything is played as safe as possible. I don't know how else to get that across, you know, without getting into major stuff that happens towards the end of the film. But yeah, as I said, I would just like to see a little more creativity and some more risks taken in this film, and unfortunately this one did not give it to me. But as I said, I still think this is far from a bad movie. I enjoyed it to an extent, but just disappointed me overall. But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on Scream 6. I wanted nothing more than to turn this camera on and say this was the second best or maybe even best in the franchise, but unfortunately it just didn't do it for me. Again, I don't think it's the worst of this series. I don't think this is a bad film at all. I think it is really well made, and I have total respect for everybody that was involved with this. Just some of the story decisions and writing let me down personally, but again, that is my personal experience. Whatever I say here, go see this movie, go check it out for yourself, form your own opinions, and tell me what you thought of Scream 6 down below. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of Scream 6 down below in the comments, and if you are excited for my Scream ranking coming out tomorrow, stay tuned, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and of course, I will see you guys again very soon. Thank you for watching. Have a good ass day.